reputation on that border. I believe what is happening on the border today is intentional.
We have people in the United States of America that breed children in order to sell them.
Our own government is facilitating the absolute destruction of the American immigration system, and I can prove it point by point. I'm unafraid to speak the truth. This is just data-driven and experience-driven.
Let's start acting like it's the end of the world. I mean, the minute we cut taxes or trim the budget, they start screaming that the sky is falling. Now, don't get me wrong, I admire their consistency. If the stock market surges, they say it's just helping the rich. And if it crashes, they say, yep, that's what happens under Republican leadership. And don't even get me started on foreign policy. A Republican president could be shaking hands with world leaders and signing peace deals, and they'd say, it must be appeasement. But the minute there's tension overseas, they rush to the nearest camera like it's Black Friday saying, see, we told you the world would catch fire if he was in charge. Now, I've always said, it's fine to disagree on policy. That's democracy. But if your best shot at winning is hoping the American people lose, well, maybe you're in the wrong country.
Who would have money coming in like at levels that they have never seen. I got a call the other day from the people in Congress because we're doing our bill. I didn't even tell you this, Mike, and they called. They said, there's something wrong with the numbers, sir. I said, what's wrong? I don't know. They're not balancing out. There's something really wrong. I said, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Well, we don't know. I said, what's the problem? We're taking in much more money than we have scheduled. I said, so far that sounds good. They said, how much is it? About $80 billion. I said, do me a favor, check the tariff line. They called me back an hour later. Sir, we've taken in $88 billion in tariffs. Isn't that a beautiful thing? $88 billion. I thought I'd tell these little stories. Go off script and tell these little stories, Scott, right? Because it does make it a little more interesting, although my speechwriters have just gotten every award in the book.
And I mean specifically you, the press, specifically you, the press corps, because you cheer against Trump so hard. It's like in your DNA and in your blood to cheer against Trump. Because you want him not to be successful so bad, you have to cheer against the efficacy of these strikes. You have to hope maybe they weren't effective. Maybe the way the Trump administration has represented them isn't true. So let's take half-truths, spun information, leaked information, and then spin it. Spin it in every way we can to try to cause doubt and manipulate the public mind over whether or not our brave pilots were successful. How many stories have been written about how hard it is to, I don't know, fly a plane for 36 hours? Has MSNBC done that story? Has Fox? Have we done the story how hard that is? Have we done it 2 or 3 times so that American people understand? How about how difficult it is to shoot a drone from an F-15 or 16 or F-22 or F-35? Or what it's like to man a Patriot battery? Or how hard it is to refuel midair? Giving the American people an understanding of how complex and sophisticated this mission really was. There are so many aspects of what our brave men and women did that because of the hatred of this press corps are undermined because people are trying to leak and spin that it wasn't successful. It's irresponsible. And folks in this room are privy to that information because of the proximity here in the Pentagon. It's an important responsibility. And time again, classified information is leaked or peddled for political purposes to try to make the president look bad. And what's really happening is you're undermining the success of incredible B-2 pilots and incredible F-35 pilots and incredible refuelers and incredible air defenders who accomplished their mission, set back a nuclear program in ways that other presidents would have dreamed. How about we celebrate that? How about we talk about how special America is, that only we have these capabilities? I think it's too much to ask, unfortunately, for the fake news. So we're used to that. But we also have an opportunity to stand at the podium and read the truth of what's really happening. And the reality is you want to call it destroyed, you want to call it defeated, you want to call it obliterated, choose your word. This was an historically successful attack, and we should celebrate it as Americans. And it gives us a chance to have peace, chance to have a deal, and an opportunity to prevent a nuclear Iran, which is something President Trump talked about for 20 years.
How did you feel about winning? How did you feel?
I did good. I did 5 over 5 times water, 5 times over.
Whoa, that's not bad. Thank you.
Mr. President, Jane was telling us beforehand, we were waiting in the Roosevelt room, she was sharing that she was so excited that her dad and she both have the same color hair as you.
Yeah.
Pretty proud of that.
Yes.
I hope he has a beautiful head of hair like that. I'll bet he is better.
That's my dad called your head.
He likes the hair. That's very interesting. I'm going to have to think about that. Thank you. Say hello to your dad, right?
No, I'll tell you why.
Go ahead.
My dad died. And my mom too.
You're in the Oval Office, and they're looking down on you, and they see gold, right? That's gold.
Yes.
That's really something, and they're very proud of you, right?
Thank you.
So, congratulations, Tom.
Welcome to Truth with J.J. Carrell. Why did I play that montage? Because Donald Trump is just getting railed nonstop. And that first clip of President Reagan, he's right. It doesn't matter what they do, the Republicans. And let me be clear, clarify that MAGA. We just replace MAGA with what President Reagan called Republicans. It doesn't matter if Donald Trump got $88 billion in tariffs. The Democrats will say, why didn't he get 90? Why is he not getting 500 billion? Why is he not getting $1 trillion? Donald Trump has Special Olympics athletes in the Oval Office, talking to them, having the ability to speak to someone with disabilities, telling her that her parents are in heaven looking down on her and they're so proud. Can you imagine any other of the Democrat presidents doing that, having the charisma? Joe Biden, he had walked over and sniffed that poor girl, poor lady. The title of my show is exactly that. Is Donald Trump is fighting the narrative of the media. Donald Trump is doing everything for the betterment of America. You may not like how he's doing it. You may not believe in everything he's done. I wasn't a big believer in having to go bomb Iran. However, I'm going to say, like Pete Hegseth said, holy smokes. When that happened, I turned to my wife and son and said, do you know how hard that is to fly those planes from where I'm in my region in Missouri? Fly them thousands of miles and nobody even knows you're in the air. And then you deliver strikes, destroying their nuclear facility, bringing Iran to their knees, making every other country. I don't even care about Iran. I'll be very honest. The byproduct of what Trump did shook the world to the core. Same thing with Reagan. There's something that the world saw in Reagan, the same thing they see in Trump, but I think even more in Trump, that he's just a little off center, which I'm fine. I'm a little off center. I'm not the guy that's going to wake up and do what the world says they have to do. I'm a little off center, and I think that is frightening to a lot of people, that I don't go to the same drum you do. In fact, when I'm pushed and I'm told that I'm going to hurt you or your family, then I'm going all in. All in. There is no half measures. I'm going to go all in, and I'm going to grab you, and I'm going to try to strangle the life out of you. Period. And people can smell it. They can see it. They can sense it. I lived it my life with criminals. Same thing with the savages in the Middle East. Same thing with the European NATO scumbags, is they see Trump and they go, oh, he will go for my jugular right away and he'll crush me. He'll crush me. That is peace through strength. That's power. I wrote about this in my first book. Dr. Jordan Peterson talked about a man has to be dangerous. He has to be dangerous, but he needs to be able to contain that danger and violence and that strength, because that's real masculinity. But the moment the bell rings and it's time to go, that man needs to be able to react that fast, and he's going for the kill. And that's Donald Trump. Great. I love what he did with Iran. Blow it up. Great. I don't like the precursor to it, meaning following Israel and Israel leading us by the nose. I don't like that at all. However, what he did was powerful, setting the tone in the world. You mess with America, we have, not only do we have the courage and the fortitude to go and destroy you, that's one thing, but we have all the technology, all the war machines, and you won't even know that we're there. And by the time you start digging your dead people up that have been incinerated or buried deep in, we're already gone and home. You won't even know. You'll know that it's the Americans, but you'll never seen us. You'll just make that assumption. It's those damn Americans did it. That's power. That's strength. That's America. And we need to start, and I've said this many times, we are the biggest, baddest kid on the block. Nobody's even close. No one's even close within the 100, 1,000 neighborhoods. No one's close to the strength that we have. Start acting like it. We were fine going to work. We were fine just driving our cars, driving our bikes, living our life, mowing our yard, making sure our house is clean. But you kept throwing your garbage on my yard. You kept yelling at me, threatening to hurt me. You pushed my son down. You assaulted my wife. Here I go, straight scorched earth through the neighborhood, beating the crap out of everyone, blowing their houses up. I have the only house standing. That's how America needs to move forward. We don't have to blow the world up. We just need to be very strategic in what we do and say, this is the new road. Donald Trump did this. He did it in his first term, and he did it in the second one. He told the Middle East, we are going to remove ourselves from you, and we are going to stop these endless wars. But if you do anything to hurt America, anything, then we're going to come and we're going to inflict pain and suffering on you. And those people in the Middle East, they only understand strength and violence. That's it. That's the currency. And if we really broke everything down for masculine men, that's really the currency of the world. How much strength do you have? And how willing are you to inflict violence? That's it. All the men that are soft and are walking around in code white, just kind of la, you will be devoured. When things go bad, you're devoured. And if you think America is exempt from going bad, you're absolutely a fool. Do you think do you think that throughout the history of man, where the biggest, the strongest, the most violent, the people that had to go to war, do you think that the moment the 1960s, 70s, and in America, that we became so enlightened, that we became so much better intellectually, spiritually, physically than the rest of history, not just America, but the rest of human history, that somehow that we've carved out this men can have babies and you can be with any gender you want, and we're exempt from the world? That's what I think is so powerful, is the mental patients in our government, in our society, think that somehow we're protected because we're enlightened. And the rest of the world, the billions of people, are going to somehow leave us alone because we're enlightened. They're going to attack us because we're enlightened, because we don't have any foundational roots to truth and justice and fairness in God. I'm going to show you a couple videos about what's happening in Europe. And we've talked about this before. The Islamization, the jihad in Europe of Muslims pouring into the European nations and destroying them. It's shocking. But if I did again like I did, I think it was last week maybe the week before, I showed several montage of several European cities, but in between the European cities, I put American cities being burnt by Muslims. Protests, yelling, chants, the stupid sirens going off. And I asked you, which one were Europe and which was America? You couldn't tell. You couldn't tell. Only if you studied it really hard and said, okay, look at the architecture, look at the lights. Oh, those sirens. I can hear different sirens. Those are European sirens. Outside of that, you had no idea. You had no idea what country it is. We're going into the 4th of July week. There's things that, and we just went through a tumultuous about 10 days with the war in Iran and the bombing. But I have to tell you, now, I separate Israel from bombing Iran. I understand how we got there and how we got, that's a whole nother subject. But I give Donald Trump absolute applaud for what he's done in America and what he's done in international issues and what he's doing domestically. Look, I am trying to stay on top of several items that I find that I believe are going to be critical for America's survival. And I'm just reporting on it. I look at what Donald Trump is doing as just a man. So he's taken all of the items that I think are very important because they're forefront and he's dealing with them. I can't even wrap my brain around the magnitude of what he is doing, meaning the decisions he's having to make, the plans to make change in the plethora of other things. I'm going to talk about this. I talked about it in the vault. You can go to the vault at worldviewtube.com/JJ. Go to the vault. I have daily takes every single day. I pick a topic and I give you about a 10-minute take on it. And it's fast, it's quick, and then it's done. And I did one on Carrie Lake and the Voice of America. I mean, that you're like, okay, well, that's not as important as Iran. That's not important as immigration. Yeah. But the Voice of America was run by the CCP, paid for by the American taxpayers that were supposed to be the voice of America, what was funded by the voice of China. But this is another thing. Can you imagine you're President Trump. You got Iran, you got Israel issues, you got the border, you got your own cities are on fire, you got the economy, you got Powell won't cut the interest rates, you got on, and you're sitting there and your stack on your Oval Office desk is this high, and you're having one major person after another coming in, and you're making decisions like this that have severe consequences if you are wrong, even severe consequences if you're correct. And then in comes Carrie Lake talking to you about Voice America. You have to be like, okay, this is important. It is important. But when does this end? Where's the end of the corruption, the deceit, the actual free fall of our government? Where's the end of it? And that's what I want to give Donald Trump as much grace as I can, because I don't know where the end is. I don't think he knows either, and that's why you see him exasperated sometimes. That's when you're seeing, God, where does this end? When does this end? Maybe the question is, when does the ship begin to turn? And I don't think Trump feels as if he has the ship turning yet. I think he's yanked the steering column of that gigantic ship, and he has yanked it all the way to like you're driving a car and you have it all the way turned, and there is no more wheelbase, there's no more turning radius. You have it locked as far as it's going to go. But dang it, I believe Trump has got it locked in. Now he's just waiting for it to begin to turn. And when it turns and it starts going the other way, that's where the power is going to come in. But at the same time he's turning this gigantic fleet of cargo ships, pirates are shooting rockets at the base of our ships, day in and night. Donald Trump deserves immense amount of credit. immense. Do I agree with everything? Nope. Do I agree with the most everything? Yes. Name me one other man that could do what he's doing. From one alpha guy that wants to be successful, has been successful, wants to reach new heights. Everything a real American man wants is success. I look at him and I go, damn, that guy has done it. Just like I look at my father when I was in government law enforcement, he was retired from law enforcement, and I looked at him in a law enforcement capacity outside of being a dad. That's what I want to be like. That's the kind of respect I want. That I looked at him as a father and a husband. Well, that's what I want to be like. I want to be a father like my dad. That I never wondered if he loved me. I never wondered if I made him proud. I didn't even know when I really disappointed him. I disappointed him quite a bit growing up. And he never laid that out. It was always positive. And I look at Trump not as a father figure, not of a social or religious or spiritual. No. That I had those mentors. I had those people I looked up to. I look up to Donald Trump for what he's accomplished, for his tenacity, for his determination, and his unwillingness to bend a knee. And I think he's the example of what we as American men and women, but American men need to be, because I blame everything that's happened in America on the feet of the American man. We allowed this insanity to take place in our country. Please support the sponsors that support worldviewtube.com. And one of my sponsors is bellagrace.com. Shop bellagrace.com/JJ. Look, I'm looking down on my arm. I had for forever, I tried everything. I had like some eczema on inside of my elbow. Can't get rid of it. Dr. Lucky said, try our elixir and see if that helps. It's going to take all your inflammation away. It's going to help with your collagen. It's going to help with everything in your skin, the way your skin looks, the way your hair, your nails, everything's going to get stronger, because we're going to work from the gut, and we're going to change and clean out your immune system and clean out the inflammation. And dang it if he wasn't right. Brandon House of the creator and owner of Worldview Tube used to tell me my hands were cracked and bleeding all the time, and I swear by it. And when he first told me, I was like, yeah, okay. Yep. I mean, I had no reason to not believe him. But I'm kind of that kind of guy that has to see it to believe it. Sure enough, here I am, believing it. Shop bellagrace.com/truth. Let's listen to what Dr. Lucky has told me offline that he's going to tell you in this commercial, and he is absolutely 100% honest on this.
As a practitioner with a very large practice, at the very end of the day, I tended to be a little bit worn out. I wasn't covering from taking care of patients. In January, before we pre-launched the company, I was one of the very first people to get the 15-day samples. And right away, I was connected to the Bella Grace Collagen Elixir. Just an overall feeling of wellness, but also a little more energy. I recovered in my workouts, sleeping just more soundly, and then waking up the next day ready to take it on. For me, it was the power of three: the cat's claw, the astaxanthin, and of course, the best, most studied Verisol collagen on the market today.
Shop bellagrace.com/truth. Now, I told you in my monologue that we are facing the same thing that's happening in Europe, and that is the systematic takeover of Islam. America, let me just give you an example. America is losing the population race because our women do not reproduce at the replacement level. And in my book, Treason, I wrote a whole chapter on this, where I'm just using United Nations international data, and I'm showing the birth rate of Americans not happening. And I'm seeing the people that we are bringing in. And I use the Venezuelans, and I use the Haitians and Mexicans and continent Africa. They're reproducing up to a 5 times rate of American citizens. 5 times. And there are tens of millions of these people in our country illegally. And we're beginning to see the not Muslims, but the radical jihadist. Now, there's an argument to be made. Well, show me where Islam is peaceful. Show me. Show me a nation on planet Earth that is functioning well without extreme violence, extreme religious fervor, where Muslims are. Just to show me. Show me why. Do you see Christians kneeling and praying in interstates and in giant metropolitan areas and clogging up streets, violently burning things to the ground, waving foreign flags, burning buildings, fighting cops? Do you see that? Honestly, do you see that? If you do, let me know. If there's a violent sect of Christians that are going around killing people, making statements that we're going to go to war and kill all the Muslims and the Jews, I want to know who that is, because I want to be the first one to say, well, that's not Christianity. That is a sect that's outside of our belief. They're not Christians, and we're denouncing them. But we don't see that. Do I see that in Islam? You're damn straight I do. And if we're going to have these conversations, and you're going to tune into my show, then we're going to have very hard discussions. We're going to discuss about race, religion. We're going to talk about sexual perversion, the culture, the destruction of our cultural and societal norms. I mean, we have to talk about this. How do you think we got here? I'm going to tell you how we got here. There's multiple reasons, but one is a major reason, is we remained silent because we were afraid. You were afraid to say anything out loud. Look, I don't want to be called a Islamophobe. I don't want to be called an isolationist. I don't want to be known as a homophobe. It's okay that sexual perversion is going on. Just, I know it's against my Christian faith, but I think God just wants me to shut up. Yeah, that's what God wants you to do. God wants you to shut up as his son's followers get slaughtered throughout Africa, in Europe, and now in America. That's what he wants. Watch this video, and I'm going to then show you several clips really driving home what this video is talking about as far as the massive increase of third world Muslims from the Southern Hemisphere illegally finding their way into Europe. Europe is dying. Europe is absolutely dying. It's like dead man walking. There are only two nations, Poland and Hungary, that have no Muslims in their country, like no Muslim refugees, and it's really clamped down on mosque and all that stuff. And the only other country that's fighting is Italy. That's it. The rest of the nations have succumbed and just said, okay, and wait till you see the videos that I'm going to show you of these nations. But let's play this one first, Logan.
What is the most Muslim country in Europe? You would never expect this developed country to have so many Muslims. First of all, the country with the least number of Muslims in Europe is Estonia, with just under 1,000. So what is the country with the most Muslims in Europe? Fifth place, the Netherlands, which has about 1 million Muslims. Fourth place, Italy. Due to its geographic proximity to North Africa and the Middle East, a large number of Muslim refugees have arrived in Italy via the Mediterranean Sea. Italy's has 1.5 million Muslims. Third place, the United Kingdom, whose multicultural policies have also provided space for the growth of the Muslim community, with about 3 million Muslims in the United Kingdom. In second place, Germany, in need of labor to rebuild its economy after World War II, brought in a large number of guest workers, mainly Muslims from Turkey, with nearly 5 million Muslims in Germany. Before we announce the #1 spot, write in the comments section what you think is the most Muslim country in Europe. The country in first place is home to almost 6 million Muslims. This country is France.
Is France. Wow. I wonder what France looks like. Huh. They don't have a summer of love. They just got a year-long burning of Paris. How many Muslims live in America? I cross-reference, it looks like between 4 million-ish. You're like, well, that's not that bad. Okay, well, you have concentrations of them that are taking over complete municipalities. You don't think the people in Minnesota feel like their little city is changed a little bit? So much so that they call it Little Mogadishu? Or what about Paterson, New Jersey, where they just celebrated Palestinian Day and Pakistani Day? Or New York City, where they're having their call to prayer in the middle of downtown New York City and about to elect a socialist jihadist. Let's look at this next video of Belgium. When you think of Belgium, you think of the Belgian waffles. I don't even know if that's really true, but you think of Belgium, you think of very calm, peaceful people, beautiful area, old architecture, people that are baking great pastries and kind of just, hanging out. No issues with Belgium. They're not fighting anybody. No one's fighting back. It's just peaceful. No, not really. Tell me if this is what you thought or think Belgium looked like.
Where would you guess? And this isn't the shocking part of this video. This is Belgium. So how many of you would have guessed Belgium? The shocking part of this video is I seen a statistic today. I thought it couldn't be real. Turns out it is real. 83.9% of people under 18 in Brussels, Belgium,
Logan, can you turn it down?
Are non-Belgium. They're not from Belgium. Either being born abroad or having no
perfect
ancestry. 84%. Is that not an insane number? That means only 16% of the people under 18 years of age are actually Belgian. How fast did that happen?
Belgium is dead. They're just dead. 83% of their population under 18 is foreign nationals. No Belgium. At a rate of they're having children anywhere from like 5 to 8 children. It's over. It's just one generation. Once those kids turn adults and have children, it's gone. And there's nothing Belgium can do. It's over. It's absolutely over. And the Muslims have done the brilliant thing with the help of the white liberal Karens and the mental patients on the left that believe diversity is strength and have some kind of white guilt. All of their founding fathers, all of the warriors for hundreds of years, thousands of years in Europe, fighting back the Muslims, literally fighting back the Muslims to create Europe, one of the greatest places on the globe. Culture destroyed. Why and how? Because the Muslims made a very strategic plan. We don't need to fight. We don't have the manpower. We don't have the technology. We have birth rates. We have fundamental belief in our religion where the white Europeans don't believe in God. No one goes to church. They don't believe in anything. We'll just go there and have children and outbirth them. Belgium is fallen. It's gone. It's done. It's over. You have Mogadishu. You have Bangladesh. You have every third world dump is now in Belgium. That looked like third world because it is now. What does France look like? This is just one video from last year that I could play video after video after video. France is like perpetually on fire. Paris, it's all illegal alien Muslim men, all of them. What pansy ass Frenchman is going to fight a third world savage from Uganda? None of those French are going to do that. And the third world illegal aliens from the southern hemisphere, they know it. And they just go to town. Watch this. That seems normal. Whenever I think of Paris and the French countryside, I think of that. It does. It pops in my head. Let's look at Ireland. Let's take a quick look at Ireland. I love Ireland. Let's watch it as it burns. Are you ready for your European vacation? You ready to get on one of those Viking cruises and kind of go through everywhere? I don't even have time to show you UK, where the top 10 cities have Muslim mayors and their birth rates are skyrocketing, destroying England. But I'll show you one more. Let's show you Germany. Let me show you what happens in Germany during their Kris Kringle, their Christmas festivals, which I love and think that it's absolutely spectacular there. Germany. I would never in 100 million years take my family to Germany now. None. Why? Because this is normal. That was a car. Just so we're clear, that was a car that ran through there. Unbelievable. Go back to Ireland just for a second, just because we reported on this just the other day. 94% of all births last year were to non-Irish illegal and legal immigrants. They're like Belgium. They're done. They just don't know it. They're done. why did the West why has the West allowed this to happen? And why is America haven't learned anything? Because what's happened in Europe, and I've been saying this for over 5 to 7 years, I've been watching and documenting what's happening in Europe. And everything that's happened in Europe is now happening in America, but because America's size, we have exponentially gone worse. Like, what if if Europe's at like the 7th degree of downfall, America is like at 100th. That's how fast everything's accelerated to us. We're at the 100th degree. Like, everything is multiplied, and it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. Before I bring in my next guest, my Friday guest, Chris, let's talk about another sponsor that we have that is very important, because it's being prepared. How do you get prepared? How do you fight? How do you have any sense to defend yourself? Is you have to be healthy. We've all been sick. I've had COVID. Everyone's had something where you don't feel good. And the thought, if someone said, hey, you got to get up and strap a gun to your hip, or you need to get out in your front yard to defend your family, and you're like, I can't even stand up. We've been there. You need to get healthy, and that's Pet Club 24/7. Go to truthwithjj247.com. It is a proprietary mushroom that is put in a capsule form for humans. As my friend Alpha Warrior from the Alpha Warrior Show takes the blue bottle for mental clarity, I take the green bottle for my immune system. Our immune system has been attacked ad nauseum by pharmaceuticals, by our food industry, our meat and chicken processing, pork, our water. We have to be able to fight this, and this is one of the ways. And for our pets too. Our pets eat and drink the same type of stuff that we do. The same manufacturers that produce our chocolate actually produce dog food, if you can imagine. I don't know how I don't know how they made that happen, but they do. So Pet Club 24/7 has created multiple products for your immune system, your gut, your digestive, and it helps you healthy for your pets as well as humans. Go to truthwithjj247, truthwithjj247.com. All right. I want to bring in Chris from sat123.com and talk about being prepared. Let's talk about being prepared. Chris, how you doing?
I'm great, JJ. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm dying under the heat here in Middle America. It's been about in the 90s, and there's no relief at all. But I'll take it. Right? I'll take it better than raining and snow and sleet. So I'll take it. How about you? How's things in Colorado?
Yeah, we're pretty much cooking. We're going to be around 100 today, I guess. So sweating it out. No beach or palm trees to keep me cool today, mate.
I know. I'm going to be heading to the beach here pretty soon. I will definitely take a selfie and send it to you just so you can have it while you're sweltering. People don't understand in Colorado, you think, well, you got the mountains and stuff, and you do. But if you're anywhere near the valley, you're literally sitting in a frying pan cooking, and it gets brutal hot, right?
It certainly does. And you know what this is going to lead to? It's probably power outages, grid overload. Everyone's got the AC on. Everyone's got all their electronics going. And we've seen it. We see it every single summer. It's not going to be a surprise. But as the temperatures keep rising, the power grid is definitely going to be an issue. But JJ, I also wanted to talk about something that happened in the UK this week, which was an attack on a UK airbase and some of our aircraft over there by a pro-Palestinian group. And it's just a reminder that, given what you were talking about that's going on in Europe, these groups can turn on the military and they damage four UK aircraft. But look, I mean, this is just a sign of, I think, what's to come. As these groups get more and more powerful and more emboldened, they're going to increase their attacks. And we've certainly seen increased cyber attack activity in the last 7 days. And that's something that should be worrying us all.
Well, that goes right to your company, is sat123.com, where you get your a sat phone and you get it for free with a subscription. So you're not paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for a sat phone. You get one for free and you have connectability. But one thing that I want to talk to you about this week, because we talk about being prepared, we talk about the products that you have at your show. I want to show you a video, and
before we go, I want you to, this is Trump talking about, this was 8 months ago as he was running for president, and he was talking about the 2020 stats, okay, that were coming up. And I actually, excuse me, 2024 stats. And I was going to read them off my phone before we start to listen to Donald Trump. Violent crime nationwide, this is 8 months ago, and it's slowly decreasing, but I bet with all the riots, I bet it really hasn't. Nationwide are up 40%. That's violent crime. Rape is up 42%. Car theft, 42%. Aggravated assaults up to 55%. Violent attacks on strangers. This is important. Violent attacks on strangers, meaning there's no familiar, like as a neighbor or a family member or a coworker, that on strangers, violent attacks are up 61%. 61%. Watch this video, and I just want to get your take on it, and also what product do you have? And I know which one you're probably going to talk about because this is my favorite one. But go ahead and play this, Logan, for us.
In breaking news yesterday, the premier statistical agency at the Justice Department, you remember where David Muir tried to correct me when I said that crime is rampant like never before. He said, oh, no. He said, crime is going down. He said, where are you coming from? And, you know, you wouldn't have to need a Bureau of Justice statistics to know that crime is worse than it's ever been. And I guess they probably watched the debate and they heard this foolish man, this foolish fool make that statement to me that, no, crime is coming down. The FBI said it was coming down. The FBI defrauded everybody because what they did is they used statistics not including some of the worst areas and some of the worst cities. So the real numbers are from the Bureau of Justice Statistics, and they just released it. So I think they probably like me because they wanted to defend me from people that are not smart, from a guy who has good hair but not as good as it was 5 years ago, to be honest. And they just released brand new numbers just out last night, late, showing that since 2020, so this guy, David Muir, was correcting me, the FBI. Now, the FBI defrauded, just like they defrauded on the jobs, 118,000 jobs that didn't exist. The FBI, in this case, defrauded. So violent crime, just out, nationwide is up 40%. Rape is up 42%. Car theft is up 42%. Aggravated assaults are up 55%. And violent attacks on strangers are up much more than 61%.
What do you think about that, Chris? I mean, those are startling numbers, and I don't think they've gone down. If they have gone down, it's been minute because Trump's policies are still going into effect. What do you think about that, and what product do you have that can combat or at least give you a fighting chance of survival?
Well, obviously, JJ, I mean, those numbers are horrific and very scary, and everyone should be concerned about this. But, you know, again, what we always talk about in the show, be prepared, don't be a victim. And I think the number one product I'm going to talk about is our bulletproof backpack that you can see at darkbags.com. That's darkbags.com. This backpack was developed in conjunction with law enforcement and some Navy SEAL friends of ours over in San Diego. And it was designed to initially to help give kids who are victims in a school shooting a chance to survive, a chance to get out of a terrible situation like that. You know, unfortunately, JJ, these shootings are now so common, they barely even make the news, and you know, unless the numbers are huge. But they're going on all the time. There was, like, I think nearly 300 of these shootings, mass shootings last year in the U.S. alone. And I don't know what the numbers are for this year, but I'm sure it's going to be around the same or higher. But if you think about it, if you're in a mass shooting incident, whether it's a crazed lone gunman or some kind of terrorist cell, you know, I think you have to have something that can give you a fighting chance to get out. So these backpacks have bulletproof shields in them, Kevlar panels, and I know you're very familiar with this kind of technology, and these can stop anything up to a 44 Magnum handgun, a shotgun blast, or 9mm automatic weapons fire. So you can actually, if you're wearing the backpack, it's going to protect you from the back, but if you get into a situation, you can hold it in front of you and give yourself protection from the front. But there's nothing else that a kid's going to have in the classroom that's going to be able to do that. You know, and every parent knows they're buying backpacks every year for their kids, just like you do. And you're spending hundreds or $200-300 or more on these fancy backpacks, but all they do is carry books. So we developed a backpack for just $199 right now, JJ, that can stop bullets. It's certified by the NIJ up to level 3A. And so this thing is the real deal. And it also has Faraday pockets, so it can protect your kids' cell phones and their data on their laptops, their cell phones, whatever it is, because that's unfortunately another crime that's exploding here in the US and around the world, is the theft of data from cell phones and laptops. So this backpack, just $199 at darkbags.com. This can give you a fighting chance, whether it's for your kids or for yourself. Look, if you're walking around downtown anywhere USA right now, we've all seen what's been going on. It's dangerous, you know, so give yourself some kind of protection. If you've got a backpack, if you're going to carry a backpack, you might as well carry one that's going to protect you from gunfire as well as data theft.
Chris, I am the biggest supporter of this product because my family has it. I have one, my wife has one, and my son has one. And let me just give you a testimonial for this. You don't even know that it's a ballistic backpack, except no one would know except at my son's school. My son told all his friends because it's cool, but you would never, ever look at it and go, well, there's something wrong. And it's light. It's the same weight as a relatively same weight as a backpack. And here's something that I really want, especially the parents. Look, August and September are right around the corner. We got to go buy a backpack, right? And every year toward about the last 2 months, I'm like, please, God, let this backpack hold. I don't want to go spend $200 on another backpack for 6 weeks. That's not the case with your backpack. And my son is a thrasher. I mean, he's got sports, he's got all, and it's not because he is inconsiderate about what we're purchasing. He's just a kid, right? He's a teenager. They're throwing their stuff everywhere. They're running around. Nothing. I'm looking at the backpack. It looks brand new. There's no tears. There's no anything. So I believe in this. And I believe that, will it stop everything? No, but it will give you a fighting chance. And that's what I want. I just want a fighting chance to make it out of a situation. So Chris, I love this product. I believe in it. My family has it. We travel with it, and it looks and feels great. So I'm all for it. Please go to sat123.com, or the number, Logan will put the number on the screen as well. Chris, as always, thank you. Who knows what we're going to talk about next week, Chris? I have no idea, but I hope you have a great 4th of July. And I have one question for you. Coming from the UK, is my assessment or my view of what's happening in Europe with the movement of mainly Muslim, single adult military age Muslims into the UK specifically, is it having the direct impact that I am stating when I'm looking at the 10 top mayors are all Muslim? That has to be ringing bells. It has to be alarm bells. Are you hearing that from friends and family in the UK and your time there, or am I overstating it?
No, you're absolutely not overstating it. You know, just speaking with my family a couple of days ago, I mean, this is a constant in their lives. You've got hundreds of people a day or more that are coming into the UK. You can only put so many people in a room, JJ, before the whole thing breaks down. And you've got these people, they're getting Social Security, the equivalent. They're getting free healthcare. They're putting a strain on the people who live there, you know, and there's nothing being done to stop it, unfortunately. You know, England's always been, has taken pride in the fact that it's given asylum to the people who need it. But according to the latest reports I've been reading, a lot of this is, you know, maybe at the hands of the Kremlin, who are pushing, thousands of these immigrants into the UK every week, in order to try and destabilize the country. And I would say at this point that, you know, that strategy seems to be working, unfortunately. Yep,
I agree. I think America needs to really wake up and take stock in what's happening over there, because it is happening already here. Chris, thank you very much. Sat123, stay cool, my friend, and I will be sending you a selfie of me on the beach here pretty soon. You're gonna love it. Have a good week,
I'll get you back, mate. Thanks a lot, JJ. Cheers, man.
All right. Chris at sat123.com. I always love his accent and he is, even when he's telling you the bad things that are happening in the UK, the accent makes it seem cheerful. Like you want to just get a pint and some fries or chips, as they call it, and have a good laugh. Chris at sat123.com. All right. Man, it's a fast show, 4 minutes. I want to, can you go down, Logan, and the one that I have, Carrie Lake Tells the Truth, running Voice of America, and that she's fired 85% of the workforce. I love Miss Lake. I think she is a rock star, an absolute rock star. Play this. She is bold. She is everything that I want in the people leading our government. Go ahead and play this, please, Logan.
They want to stop President Trump from making America great again. These same people who refuse to stand up and cheer for a 13-year-old boy who's battling cancer. These same people who stood on the floor of Congress and waved the Ukrainian flag after pouring $60 billion more into a war to kill more people when they wouldn't put a penny on our border. And they let our country be overrun with criminals coming into our country who are raping and killing young people and taking their lives. And now they want to try to fight President Trump every day and stop him from deporting people who came here illegally. And they want to continue running Chinese propaganda at Voice of America.
Logan, let's go right on from Carrie Lake, that one. Let's go down to the other one that says, listen to how corrupt our government is, a Voice of America. Listen to her describe how the CCP is running our Voice of America. It will shock you. Go ahead, please.
America, and they were having meetings at the embassy. Can you expand on what access did the Communist Chinese have within Voice of America? Well,
they have more say, this is sad, over editorially what VOA and puts out than someone like me, who's been charged with helping to oversee this agency because of an editorial firewall. Key lead management and leadership at U.S. Agency for Global Media cannot have focus in or tell the folks what they should be covering at Voice of America. Unfortunately, the CCP can. And I read this a little bit earlier, but and I don't know if I should read it again, but they're literally were attending meetings at the Chinese embassy in Washington, D.C. And this is a report that I find rather shocking, and I mentioned it. Starting in the first decade of 2000, the Chinese embassy in Washington, D.C. and the leadership of VOA's Mandarin service began an annual meeting to allow embassy officials to voice their opinions about VOA's content. They even convinced the former leadership during Biden's administration to cut short an interview. They wanted the whole thing canceled. They convinced VOA leadership to cut short an interview with a whistleblower who was critical of the CCP. And this just continues. This is an article that came out, I believe it was in March. VOA's senior executives frequently traveled to China, attending state-sponsored events and meeting with Chinese embassy officials. These meetings weren't casual diplomatic exchange.
If that doesn't scare you, if that doesn't infuriate you, if that does not make you want to scream, I don't know what will. We are in a fight for our country. We're going into the 4th of July week, and we'll be off at Worldview Tube the entire week. Do not stop fighting. Do not stop believing that what you're fighting for is actually truthful, spiritual, emotional. It is what we need. We have to fight and never stop, not take a day off. I want to play this video just as we end our show going into the weekend of how great our president is. Watch this.
We live in uncertain times. In fact, we live at a time when our own governments all over the world are warning us that there could be big problems with our power grid. World War III seems to be right on the horizon. Let me ask you this. Do you have a satellite phone? Should communications go down with cell towers? Do you have a satellite phone to get a hold of that college student or your spouse who travels, whatever it might be, to get a hold of your senior adult parents? We have satellite phones at worldviewtalk.com, and you get the satellite phone for free when you sign up for their very reasonable payment programs for the service. Sign up for the service with a reasonable contract, get the satellite phone for free. Worldviewtalk.com. You'll also find they have, well, what I now have, which is a solar generator. Yeah, I have a gas generator, an LP propane generator, but what if that goes down? I want to back up to my backup. So I now have a solar generator as well. You'll find them at worldviewtalk.com. Check it out today, worldviewtalk.com.
All right, welcome to Code Blue. It is June the 27th, 2025, and we're so honored to be here on Brandon House platform to bring you the medical freedom news of the day. So the big message in the media now today is, or yesterday, was RFK Jr.'s new vaccine committee issues a bombshell decision on the flu shots after previous panel was fired. So this is what they're all upset over. Brooke, you want to give us a little more details there?
Yes, for decades, there have been scientists, children's health defense, and many parents that have bemoaned the harms of certain ingredients in vaccines. And there's a lot to tackle. There's a lot to tackle. And one of those is a form of mercury called thimerosal. And so there's been a lot of people feel like this is one of the main ingredients that cause harms. And I think that there's so many different ingredients that cause so many different kinds of harms. It's really hard to pick one bad guy out of a vaccine and say this is the culprit. But this is certainly one of the culprits. And so they have taken a stand to remove this substance called thimerosal from the flu vaccine and hopefully all vaccines. And so it's a step in the right direction. And I believe that, this committee, as they continue to meet, as they continue to look at different aspects of the vaccine schedule, they'll continue to chip away at the bad actors in this system.
Yes, that's at least what we pray for.
Right.
But, this thimerosal, basically the way, this is what the other side says, whether you believe them or not, but only 5% of flu shots contain this thimerosal. 95% don't. And so of course they're saying that very few people would even have received this flu shot. It's a multi-dose flu shot. It's not the single dose. So that's what the other side says, that this shot was not really available to very many people anyway. But they removed that shot, so there's now no flu shots that have thimerosal in them, and so that is a win. Of course, it's bringing out the whole controversy, because many people believe that that this thimerosal, which is mercury type based product, or does cause or is a direct link to autism. Of course, the other side is adamant that this is just not the case. But this mercury in general was removed from vaccines supposedly in 2001, so a long time ago, and that's when the whole controversy came out about the MMR containing mercury and causing autism. There were some big legal cases at that time that did admit to that fact, but that's of course been covered up, and really, the other side does not want that to even be talked about. So it's a big fight. Now, some of the other things that this committee is looking at is, of course, Robert Malone. I believe he's been made the co-chair. And so we're hopeful that he will, do some things and push back. But from what I've just read, the RSV shot has been approved to give at birth. So this is not something that we're really for, but it was supposedly 5-2. The two people that did not agree with it was Redsef Levy, Levi, and Vicky Pebsworth, or I believe that's her name. But so these two individuals did not want to give the RSV vaccine at birth, and I would have hoped Robert Malone would have been on that list, but evidently he was not. So I guess he voted for it. Now the other thing they're looking at is of course the measles vaccine and the hepatitis B vaccines. And so let's just pray that they will look at that very closely. And currently children at birth or it's recommended that they have the hepatitis B vaccine, which we don't believe that's there's a need for that.
Dr. John, was it
Yeah.
true? It seems like I remember in discussions we talked about the mRNA is being pushed specifically for the RSV, and it's spinning. It's making my head spin around. I'm getting whiplash from these decisions that we see coming out. It's just very hard to put in my mind together how somebody could promote that, knowing that's the direction they're going.
Yeah, I mean, certainly the direction they're going. They're pushing for everything to be mRNA technology, all vaccines and a lot of different therapies, whether in cancer treatments, etc. So yeah, I mean, the mRNA platform is just, I mean, it's everywhere, and so we really need to expose that. And if we can stop the COVID mRNA shots, then that will hopefully spread a light around such that the whole technology will be really abandoned, is what it needs to be, until proven safe. And I don't know if I just don't know if it ever would get there. It's just so risky. And so anyway, that's our hope and prayers. Now the Susan Menarez, she's the one that's been nominated to lead the CDC. Now she's going through Senate hearings, and she was quoted as saying, of course they put her on the spot like they did with Kennedy, and she told senators that she believes vaccines save lives and that there's no causal link between vaccines and autism. So she's come out on the record and said that. So
it seems like almost a cult that you must believe this in order to be in order to have a position of any kind of distinction, that you've got to believe this salvation by vaccine. And it's just doesn't make any sense to me when we've now been exposed to the truth.
Well, it's just, it's ingrained in the medical community. Of course, the pharmaceutical industry has propagated, the safe and effective for decades. I mean, this is not anything new. And then, of course, you've had people like Kennedy and others that have been fighting against this this so-called ideology or cult following, and so it is amazing that Kennedy has been put in the position he's in. I believe that's a miracle. I don't think there's any other way that he could be there, but now he's in the fight of his life. And can he make a difference? Can he push forward? Can he stop the COVID mRNA vaccines? That's the big question. He certainly he is pushing forward and trying to expose things, but once again, he's just one man, and he's got to get other people around him to support him. The CDC head, Susan Menarez, doesn't sound like she's going to be a real big advocate against vaccines and et cetera. So that's just an unfortunate situation. We still pray that Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, who is head of the NIH, he will have some sway there, and then of course McCary, who is over the FDA. There's some hope there that he can push back. Folks like Dr. Oz, who's over the Medicare, CMS billing and whatnot. He's not so much in this arena, other than he is a physician and well respected, and it would be nice if he could come in and support. But, from his experience, from what we saw him push and promote during the COVID vaccines, we're not hopeful that he will be much help. So we just got to continue to pray. I think Robert Malone being where he's at, we just need to pray for him that he'll do the right thing and expose these vaccines, and certainly mRNA technology. He was injured. He took a COVID shot. He was injured, had heart problems, blood pressure problems, etc. afterwards. And that's when he came out and really looked at the mRNA vaccines. And he was very, very, very adamantly against these vaccines, especially for children and pregnant women. And so he's on record many, many times. It's very easy to go back and see where he stood against them. And so we appreciate that. But now he's in the lion's den. And let's just pray that he can push forward and do the right thing. So yeah, so Brooke, we got a minute or two before we take a break.
Yeah, well, one thing we didn't discuss before the show, but one thing that also happened this week, and as a physician, you could probably give us some insight. One thing that Kennedy did was, I don't know if it's actually passed or if it's in process, but to remove the pre-authorization for procedures, for many procedures for people before they can get care at a hospital. And it was estimated that physicians' offices spend hours and hours and hours tied up in paperwork, phone calls, trying to get pre-authorization. So I think this is a positive step, and that's something that Kennedy had worked on.
Yeah, it's a positive step. I mean, I can tell you in my lifetime of practice, 25 plus years, I remember a day when I started 25, 30 years ago, doctors were given, the ability to, I mean, if you're a doctor, you went through medical school, you went through training. And so if you felt a patient needed a particular treatment or procedure, then it was pretty easy to do. You just did it and insurance paid for it. But then they got into this whole pre-certification. And so, yeah, we eventually, you had to hire somebody full time to just pretty much stay on the phone all day and try to get pre-certification before you could do any treatment, any procedure for sure, but even treatment plans, whether it be put them on a new medication, etc. And so it's become very cumbersome. And so, yeah, this should hopefully alleviate some problems there with patients that are, not able to get things done because of, the middleman, or really the insurance companies controlling things. And so, yeah, that should be helpful. So we're going to take a break, and we'll come back. And the next time we want to talk more about this whole wearables. Kenny, we touched on this last podcast, but this is a big deal where Kennedy has come forward and he said in the next 4 years, every American will be wearing a wearable. And so when we come back after this short break, we're gonna talk more about that.
Hello, I'm Brandon House. I want to thank you for all your support at www.foundation.com that helps make possible pushing out 24/7 content for free. Without your support, we'd have to put it all behind a paywall. But thanks to you and your support through our foundation, we're